Hello, I'm AppyX Toycat, and today I'm going to be embarking on what might be the most ambitious Nether Minecraft build ever created. Seriously, this thing is going to blow your mind when you see it, and it's going to revolve around a lot of different Nether resources. We're going to need some Nether brick, we're going to need some glowstone, we're even going to need some blackstone, but I think if we can combine these together, we can make something that will really shock you. But first of all, hello, I'm AppyX Toycat. Welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in my survival world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And there is a magma cube in one of my boats that I use my boat ladder, which is actually really awkward, because even if I kill the magma cube, he's just going to split into multiple other magma cubes, both of which will probably get stuck in the boat. Okay, apparently not. Boom. We found ourselves a solution to magma cubes in boats. But, how does that even happen? I don't actually know. Today, I'm going to be working on something that will rival anything you've ever seen in the Nether, and honestly, it's going to take some inspiration from Minecraft itself. I have this kind of big soul desert right here. You can see it's got a nice corrupted desert temple. It's got a nice little corrupted desert with some mushrooms and some nether warts, and today I figured we'd do a little bit of an expansion to that, because right here is just kind of an ugly space, and I need some netherrack anyway. You know, I'm always in need of netherrack for my big mountain project. Actually, I think I don't need more netherrack for that, but it's always nice to have more supplies, right? So we're going to flatten this area just a little bit. We're going to really terraform just a tiny bit of the land right here so that more ghast can attack me, which is what I really want. And now I can finally work. Oh god. Now I can finally start work on what is going to be the most important part of today's video, the build itself. So, you know, building like a really important project in Minecraft can take hours. Even when it's a fairly small one, you know, getting all the blocks right, it takes some time. But today, I'm going to really throw my all at this one and make sure that it goes well, because this is honestly, the thing about Minecraft is people are always trying to implant real world beauty on it, and I think that's a lot of fun to do. If you want to do something, you should do it. Minecraft's the game where no one tells you what you can and cannot do, but I also think there's so much beauty found within Minecraft that we're just not fully taking advantage of sometimes. And one such example of that, one really underutilized example, is just how beautiful some of Minecraft's natural structures can be. There are so many very beautiful natural structures in Minecraft that we just don't really take full advantage of. And I think that is one of the great shames of not only our day, but maybe of all time. We have such a wide selection of Minecraft structures, and we just don't use them as like the basis or as upgrading versions of what we need to do. And that's why today, you know, despite only taking me a minute, I might have made the best thing that has ever been done in this entire world. Because here you can see, we have a corrupted desert well. Some would argue the desert well is already corrupted enough right now, but today, actually I need to have a block on the top. I can't believe I missed that. Oh, this is embarrassing. Am I like not a desert well aficionado here or something? That's what it looks like. I look like an amateur. I look like someone who doesn't spend all day looking at desert wells, praying that I could get some sand and some water in my desert. I mean, sandstone and water are just so hard to find in the overworld, and so in the same way, I figured, you know, let's not fill this with water, or ice, which is the closest thing you can get to water in legit survival without using glitches, but let's instead do something a bit more fun, and let the ghast make that decision for me too, it seems. But let's do something a bit more fun, and let's clear it like we would put water in there, but let's instead do something way better. Honestly, you can probably tell exactly where this is going. No, the idea of like turning this like part of my Nether into a desert kind of makes sense as my real world desert becomes more just weird, quirky torture attraction. I don't have a real desert anywhere in my used Minecraft world that I actually care about, so I figured if we're gonna make a desert anywhere, wouldn't the most logical place be like a netherized desert? And that might seem like a bit of a jump. Actually, no, it definitely is a bit of a jump, if you really think about it. But, it's a jump I decided to make anyway, and a jump that I think is totally worthwhile. But if we're going to do that, we're going to need some lava buckets. How do you get lava buckets in the Nether? You take some iron, you take some, we're going to need what, like 4 more buckets. We take some of these, we make some of those, and now we've got 5 buckets, which we can fill with 5 bits of lava. Because I'm still trying to drain my Nether all the way. It's a very slow, arguably very dumb project. Wait, we got space. We can do this. Very slow project. It's got very... Honestly, I realized one of the sad things about 1.17, like one of the reasons I like snapshots and seeing how updates are going, is because lava is going to become renewable in 1.17. If you have a bucket of lava, you'll be able to make unlimited buckets of lava, which actually makes sense. It's just not been true for so long that we assume it's always going to have been true. Like, oh yeah, because because lava isn't renewable now, it never will be. But the cool thing about Minecraft, even though Minecraft is a game where you have a lot of control over how things work, etc. The truth is they're always trying to make the game better. They're always trying to give you more access to different resources in different ways. And, oh, thank God it didn't hit anything that I care about. But, you know, the truth is it always is an improving, evolving game, perhaps we could say. And, okay, let's free up a couple of slots. Oh, okay, we're fine. Because Minecraft is always evolving, they're coming up with new ways of doing things, and those new ways kind of have to be taken into account. It doesn't always seem fun to... Okay, still not being hit by these ghast bubbles. And there we go. We've done it. We've got ourselves... Actually, you can see the netherrack in the corners here. That won't do. Let's use blackstone for those. Because we've been using polished blackstone, but I feel like behind the... Yeah, I reckon if we use... Okay, that shouldn't be blackstone. I don't want to lose it though, so we'll leave it there. We'll replace all of these now with some blackstone regular. And that way we add a little bit of texture to the thing. That's great. But yeah, well, it's one of those realizations that is always important in the real world too. That like, yeah, the way things are now seems like it's the way that things always will be. And we sometimes point to, like, oh yeah, the moment anything changes, it's all terrible. But I don't think that is necessarily true. I think things are evolving all the time. And and what's more important than trying to pretend it won't? Because if you just try to pretend something's not happening, it works really well in the short term, and sometimes really well in the long term. Like, I remember in school, they tried to teach me about, like, oh yeah, one of the things that, like, is kind of coming... you know, down the pipe, because it's like a EU thing. They didn't tell me it was an EU thing in school, but like, that's what it is like the standardization of decimals. So instead of writing 1 million as 1,00,000,000, did I say the right number of zeros? I don't know if I did. But instead of writing it like that, they're like, oh, the way it's going to be officially done everywhere is you're going to do 1 and then like dot, you know, it's called a decimal, right? Because decimals and commas were going to be replaced with each other. So my teacher was like, I'm teaching you the future here. I'm real smart. And I just never took that on board. Like, she'd always be like, oh, you did it wrong here. And I'd be like, I'm just going to pretend that that's not the way things are because I like the other way a lot more. And, you know, surprise, surprise, funnily enough, not only did it, like, not really end up being heavily pushed by the EU as a whole, I guess you could say, but also, you know what? Where's the UK now, huh? Try and force me to learn about your ways of doing decimals. Which, fun fact, actually a lot of, I think in Germany in particular, but like the Netherlands as well, quite a few countries actually do that comma thing, and it's confusing. I'm glad I know about it, but also I didn't adjust my life to it, and now I'm slightly better off. But for the most part, what's better is knowing what's coming down the line. Even with that dumb decimal thing, which I still think is one of the dumbest decisions that we've seen in a while. Also, you know, I've had a shulker box just chilling over here for a while. Let's just fix this, shall we? Let's just put the blocks from the shulker box over there. And let's also put some netherrack away in the netherrack chest. You know I have too much netherrack. We all know I have too much netherrack. That's where some of these projects even come from. But yeah, basically, you know, knowing about what's coming down the pipeline and just like kind of adjusting for it is a much smarter idea than trying to pretend that nothing's coming down the pipeline. And in that same way, I've kind of adjusted like, okay, lava is going to become renewable. If you want to get lava somewhere, the best way is not going to be taking it from your nether, where there's an infinite supply, and putting it other places, but instead it's going to be just putting a lava farm somewhere else. So the big projects that I always have in my head for lava, I even have one that's coming up fairly soon that might have to use the current way. Anything that's coming after like 9 months from now, just plan it like that. Also, everyone loves seeing RTX, and everyone's been asking like, Toycat, do your Let's Play in RTX? And I don't think I will. I like vanilla Minecraft too much, but just so we can really appreciate this build. Oh yeah. That honestly, because of the lava, I think that's like a particularly smart build for this too, right? Let's remove that there. Let's not remove that there actually. Let's just go outside and let's look at it from like up close. Look at this beauty right here. Look at this wonderful, glorious desert temple, or corrupted desert temple, or desert well. Man, look at the glory that is this corrupted desert well. Is this not worthy of an entire episode by itself? I mean, I've been saying I wanted to make the Let's Play shorter, but rather than just making a 10-minute episode, because I actually did want to build this for a while, and I've been putting it off, and I feel like now it's here, I'm glad. Although I should definitely expand, maybe have, like, some other deserty things in the background. Help to maybe make a desert village out here or something, but, like, out of corrupted blocks with no villagers. We could put piglins in there and name the piglins and, like, trap them. It could be... That's a fun idea. Or we could put zoglins. No, zoglins would... If we get a hoglin to the overworld and then it turns into a zoglin, we could take it back to the netherite and then it could follow us and we could trap it. See, there's a fun idea. Let me know if you like that, internet. But yeah, that's been my RTX for today. Hope you enjoyed it. I deliberately even installed an RTX pack on my realm that I use for these for my world, which, by the way, terrible idea for long-term use if you're playing on. Huh. Yeah, it's funny. I just installed realms and then the game gave me a good reason as to why. But terrible idea for the long term is you know. By the way, here's a good idea for the long term. You see a ghast somewhere around, just kill it. Just don't save yourself the hassle. And yeah, speaking of things I need to save myself the hassle on, I'm working on a big Nether mountain. You might have seen it somewhere in my world. If you haven't, you'll see it by the end of today, probably, maybe. And one of the things I kind of need for that is magma. And I thought I had loads of magma lying in a chest somewhere. I'm still convinced I do, but I don't know where it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to instead flatten these islands right here. Because if you look at this area, it's one of the fascinating parts of the Nether to me. Like, I wanted to show it to all of you because I was just looking around earlier today, and I found this part of my Nether that I just really found interesting. So this is where my my soul sand farm comes to the bottom, right? As you can see, it's from here. It's like a big lava sea view. It looks like it's gonna be a whole lava sea, but it's actually more like a lava lake if you look from up here. A lava lake that has like this kind of netherrack, like a few tiny islands there. But because of that, I think there's some potential for like covering it in glass, maybe, or something like that. But either way, if I'm gonna do that, there's no point having these islands have a valuable block that I need just lying around, right? So we're gonna take all of the magma, and worst case, the ghast is gonna blow me up while I do it. What's the worst that can happen? It's not like we're in the Nether and there's lava everywhere, just a layer below me. That is definitely not the truth that I live in. Also, pro tip, crouch on magma blocks. See, you can pretend magma blocks don't exist when they were first introduced, and then you can pretend they don't exist when they like added them to the Nether. And but it's much better just be like, okay, magma blocks exist. If you don't like that you stand on them and they do really annoying damage and like it's pretty weak, but like you could either wear the right boots for protecting it, you know, fire resistance will keep you safe, or even better than that, what you could just do is learn how to crouch on magma and avoid all damage. Seriously, this block that is super deadly just forces you to crouch, which actually creates a whole bunch of interesting parkour situations and whatnot you can use it for, or like challenge map situations. But yeah, I find learning about how the future's going to be is what, like, you know, the news as it is in its current form. I talk about it a lot and how I'm not like a huge fan of current news sometimes, but that's because like a lot of news is very, what is the most angry thing we can get people to talk about today? And sometimes it's like, oh, people would rather be angry about a thing that happened a few years ago than they would like, you know, talk about something that happened today. Also, we should have taken that. Oh, we did. Wait, yeah, we didn't take a shulker box. We emptied it, but we didn't take the things from it. But people would be rather be mad about something that happened weeks ago, months ago, years ago, than they would actually, you know, like talk about a brand new thing that just happened. You know, you know, like it's really easy to be informed about a subject if you take one source of information and listen to it over and over again from different perspectives than if you hear like different perspectives on the same thing. And you know, even you know, it's true that everyone can just say like, oh, the smart thing to do is learn like what do people that disagree with you think and why is that, and you know, you'll learn more about things that way. But what's, you know, even though that's like a better way to learn about the world, it doesn't seem like a smart thing to do. I think an important like lesson we should all learn is like, what is the news there for anyway? What are we trying to learn about? Like, it's nice to feel like you're learning about significant events. We've had gossip in society for so long, like it sounds like a modern, like it's a thing that we use for, you know, teenage schools only, right? But the idea of like telling facts about, you know, like sharing information about someone, it's something that we've had for so long. And even like again, one of the sad things I learn about from all my friends who work at like major chains is like how much workplace, you know, like drama there is at place. Like, ooh, I got a raise this year. I got the highest raise this year of anyone. And, you know, people have started talking about it. And, you know, I'm starting to get some real, you know, like, and it's like, man, why are we all talking about that? Shouldn't we all just be doing the best jobs and trying to, you know, you get me, right? Like, the idea of like, staying up to date with the people around you is very real. We don't care about the boring things like, oh, do you hear your friend ate some pizza today? You know, your friend Toy Cat from the internet ate some pizza today. But do you really care? You're probably not huge on the caring index for that one, right? But what you are probably a large amount of caring for. Also, destroying the Netherrack here is kind of not essential, but I like that I'm doing it because I realize like having these islands be flat will really help with whatever I'm gonna like vision on top of it later. So, you know, accidental, thing that I'm going to work into existence here. But like, you know, we always care about the people around us on like, the reason we only care about certain things more than others, you care about like, ooh, a breakup drama more than you care about like, you know, like this is why people telling you their best moments are less interesting than people telling you their worst moments. Because the worst moments are like, ooh, how do I avoid that? What happened and how, etc. Whereas someone's best moments is like, oh yeah, we get it. You did good things. Like that's already going to be told about enough, and like it's not usually going to be so important that you know about it. Also, I'm pretty sure this pickaxe is going to break. Also, I'm pretty sure I don't care. So there's that too, I guess. But yeah, we've had like this. We have this gossip function all the time, and like so, you know, like we have a news to follow that gossip. But I think the way more useful thing than just, there's some really weird lag that is happening on the realm today. Again, this is why I recommend don't use a realm for like backing up a world. Use a realm if you play across multiple platforms, which admittedly I'm doing today because I'm playing on PC so I can use RTX. Wow, look how beautiful the magma is in RTX, am I right? Oh, it's so good. But yeah, I just want to kind of round up those thoughts by saying that always try and stay focused on the future. When you find things that are dwelling non-stop on the past, rather than trying to find new ground, they're just bringing up the exact same argument again and again and again. Like, having the same argument you've had a trillion times isn't useful. Trying to reframe it, trying to learn about... Oh, that was laggy too. Trying to learn about more things is, like, ideally what we should be doing more, in my opinion. And, like, also what I recommend people do is, like, try and... If you have a certain viewpoint, try and find what the people are, like, what the news for the other people says. So you can see this, like, fascinating two... Like, you see... you know, like we like to believe we live in one big world. That's one of the cool things about the idea of a news channel, right? But one of the things that you realize, see, what is happening here? I genuinely don't know. One of the wacky things about like recently YouTube has been recommending me news. I don't watch the news on YouTube, but it's just like showing me like, oh, here's a random newspaper that for some reason has YouTube videos now. Because everyone's realized like YouTube has one of the best like discoverability engines out there, maybe after TikTok, some people say, but like realistically, it's one of the best ways for people to discover things. That's, you know, the reason like late night shows upload their stuff to YouTube is, even though that means you don't need to watch it on the late night show, like they're uploading their content that they would otherwise say is piracy, you know, for free, is because it's like, oh yeah, we can convert some of those people to watch our things, because people who would have no idea about the late show with I don't know, Stephen Colbert, that sounds correct. People who have no idea about that normally can hear about it through this. And so as a result, like, all the news networks are doing the same thing. Like, oh, people might hear about The Independent, which, fun fact, not a very good place. So, like, people might hear about our paper if they find it on YouTube first. And so because everyone's been doing that, I guess, like, certain things have been shown up for my recommended. And I've just been reading the comments on all of those videos, and the sort of person who is attracted to tabloid journalism and comments in the things, they live in a different world. Like, again, they literally do live in a different world to the world that I believe that I live in. It's fascinating how, like, any single video, no matter what it is, the comments are all talking about, like, oh, this is actually a ploy by Bill Gates to give us the vaccine. Like, you know, that level of, like, conspiracy that most people don't end up going down. That is the top comment, the second top comment, the third top comment, the fourth top comment, etc. on these places. That, you know, people have found their confirmation bias chamber via the YouTube comments. It's wild, you know. Sometimes people act like the worst part of YouTube is like, oh, I hate when YouTubers have like fans because like, oh, everyone's like positive about the YouTuber. You know, like that is a real bias you have, that people who choose to subscribe to watch hypothetically IBX Toycat videos are more likely to like those very same IBX Toycat videos, right? Because they chose to watch them, and therefore you get a positivity bias. But it's crazy that you see there are certain channels that people subscribe to because they want to be negative. Any new development to them is a new part of their... Also, we're gonna get rid of this lava, just throw it back down there. Pro tip, you can put infinite amount of lava in one block. It doesn't actually work that way, but if you want to get rid of a lava bucket, you can. Also, there goes my pickaxe. So there's one more little thing I want to do today, because this is a never themed episode, because I would never have an episode themed anywhere else. See, I'm hilarious, very funny. This is why people like being around me. They don't really. I mean, you know, it's 2020. No one knows for sure anymore if anyone likes being around them anymore, right? Like, the great thing about this year is you finally have an excuse to say no to any and all social events. But the biggest one, like everyone knows, like, oh yeah, what you just do is you say something COVID, am I right? But what I think is way, like, the biggest power of 2020 is now if you have any gathering, any party, any social event, your birthday, Christmas, I don't know what events people honestly celebrate, but when you have any of these events, right, you have this, like, if some people ask, like, oh, who's coming, and, like, what, you know, like, and they're, like, basically trying to, like, silently judge you for not having many people, you can have the, you know, what you can just say is, like, oh, yeah, I'm only inviting, because I like small gatherings, way more than I like big gatherings, but also people feel like it's more of an event if it's a big gathering. It's one of the reasons that we tend to congregate in very bad situations. You know, like, there are lots of big parties that are like, oh, you must go. Lots of other people are going, so they're wasting their time here, so it must be a worthwhile use of your time. And it's like, nah, that's just lots of people tricking themselves into hanging out in a place together. Because really, hanging out with people can be a lot of fun, especially if you're a extroverted person. But one of the kind of weird consequences is, like, I like small gatherings much more. You like actually talking to people. So many of, like, society's, like, biggest ways to get people together deliberately involve not talking. Like, let's go to a big place where we can't hear each other because I have nothing interesting to say. That is that is how I take it anytime anyone invites me to any form of club. Even, like, a lot of bars, right? Also, yeah, very, very laggy day today. You know what? Let's make it better. Yeah, so much better. Look at that Strider and RTX. Is this not the dream we're all living right here? It is the dream. But, yeah, you know, maybe it is the RTX pack, like, all the extra. I don't know how any of this actually works, actually. I'm just saying words and hoping they're accurate. But what I'm not hoping is accurate is that, like, one of the things I'm really, like, happy about, one of the cool side consequences of 2020 is being able to just, like, appreciate a smaller group. I'm way happier in a 3-person conversation than an 8-person conversation or an 80. Like, you know what is that? You're not even talking about stuff. And I sometimes wonder, like, is that because, like, you have less? Every person is talking less. If you have 5 people, if theoretically, if you're a better listener than a talker, then you would like, you know, being in a group of 10 people because you're talking 10% of the time on average. If you assume everyone talks the average percent of the time, which maybe is a weird assumption to make, but you know, it's one we've made anyway, and we're sticking with it. But oh, I don't have a rotten flesh spot for this chest. Okay, let's do one more thing today. Let's do one last little checkup. And that little checkup is on my giant Netherrack mountain. And yeah, it's going well enough so far. It's a big project. There's lots of stuff that needs to be placed. But one of the things I want to test is right here we have some sand, and we have a little bit of a lake. We have 2 little lakes, actually. 3 little lakes. 4 lakes, you could argue this is one. And because they're going to be at the base of a Nether mountain, it's going to be a whole project that I don't want to spoil or talk about too much because, you know, what if I change my mind or something? One of the things I want to test is, first of all, how does it look if we, like, cover the shore of this in magma? Because I know, like, having all magma, like, it works better being in, like, kind of veins. What if we just ignore that? What if we just have a big old magma to the shore of the water? Does magma near water work or not? We're going to find that out. And while we find that out, also, I guess the magma has a light level, so that might be a handy way of, like, solving the light level crisis we have in this world. You know, and indeed in our real world, light pollution, big problem, am I right? I'm just kidding. I mean, it is a big enough problem, but, like, I always think, like, when people complain about light pollution, it's like, well, on the other hand, I do really like light. Like, if it were not for light, I would not see all the beautiful things that I can. Like, in this past week, because, you know, the Let's Play, usually, this is a shortened Let's Play, because I really want to make these, like, we've been having this issue forever, like, when you make an hour-long video, it is so hard to get anyone to, you know, like, if you want to watch it already, you'd watch it. If you don't want to watch it already, you're like, I can't watch an hour. I can't even give that a try. Like, very few people have, like, an hour of their time they're, like, willing to set aside in a row, you know? Like, it's a big struggle with YouTubers. Like, I like to be open about this, even though it seems like, oh, why do you want new people to watch these? Shouldn't you only care about your existing subscribers? Aren't we the ones who put food on your plate? And, like, I mean, first of all, like, technically even not true. Like, 2/3 of my views at any given point in time are from non-subscribers, which is why if you haven't hit the bell yet, did you know you can do so? It's free and you can undo it at any time. Ha ha ha, I'm funny, right? But also, the other kind of side consequence. Okay, we put all of the torch, all of the magma here at this layer. Let's see how this looks. Worst case, it's just one lake. Or like maybe we need to put like some magma going into the water too. Yeah, that looks kind of weird. We'd have to connect up the Netherrack to here maybe. Let's see if we expand the magma out, if that helps things. But only on one side, because this side kind of needs it more than this side does. So let's just expand it a little bit and see if that magically fixes the issue. It might not. It might make it worse. Honestly, it's magma. Who cares? It's one of those blocks that I still barely even think of as real. But what have I been up to in this past week? You know, we even though the Let's Plays are shorter, because I really do think that any YouTube channel you like, you should care about that channel being able to sustainably keep that content going, which means you need to find new subscribers. Because on average, you know, people unsubscribe, or even if they don't unsubscribe, they just decide, I had a good run with this channel, but I'm kind of done with it now. I'm over that YouTube channel. Who needs to learn about what speed walking in Minecraft is? You know, that's a dumb video I don't intend to click. Please intend to click that video when that does maybe happen, if that's a real thing I'm even making and not a troll. Yeah, I think that made it way worse. I don't know how it made it so much worse, but I assure you it did. I think the bottom ring needs to be complete now. I think, like, now that we've made that error, we have to do all the blocks around here. And then that means we have to do the blocks underneath them, because having, like, floating magma is kind of weird. Maybe we just shouldn't have floating magma. Oh, we should just cover. Yeah, like, just like this. And now it's, like, in the water a little bit. And, oh, God, what have we done here? What have we gotten ourselves into? A whole mess, it seems. But yeah, so what have I been up to in the past week? For those of you who are curious, and for those of you who are, you know what, thank you for caring about my life. I did an eye appointment, and my doctor, you know, see, I was just saying I like light, and my doctor's like, you like light too much. You see, your eyes are like, there's a blood vessel growing into my eye, which is like normal as a way to get oxygen. It means I'm not gonna go blind soon, but it means that my long-term like issues of, like, you know, not being able to see, you know, they're looking pretty bad. So he gave a few recommendations, but I have a real problem whenever a doctor says, like, and I guess I get this all the time, like, if a doctor ignores your concerns and just, like, throws stuff at you, and it's like, regardless of anything, this is just how it should be. There's no mitigating circumstances. It's like, are you just trying to tell me how you think a life should be lived, or you're like, you know, like, I have this, yeah, this is the same struggle people have when they have their theories about the Bill Gates or whatever. It's like, you know, I don't want another person to make it. I want to have the information to live a life. You know, I don't want to be told how to live. I want to have the information with which to make my own decisions. And so I have this doctor who, again, bear in mind, he's an eye doctor. He's an optician. His whole thing is being, you know, like a doctor for the eyes. And I have two people who I go back and forth between. I don't know why it's the same two people, if they're intending that or if it's pure coincidence. But one of them is, like, super pro contact lens. He just tells me, like, oh yeah, here's how you do it. We used to recommend you don't use them in the shower. And in the 90s, they were a little bit dangerous because they had a bad material. Now they're really, really fine. Like, it's the amount of oxygen that gets through. You're gonna be all good. And then I have it, like, and then so every 6 months I see him. Then every other 6 months I see this other guy who's like, yeah, so it's probably because you're wearing contacts every day that you're, you know, like, there's this terrible thing here, and you know, you could go blind if you don't just you know, stop wearing the contacts. At the very least, only wear them for like 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's like, I don't know if that's like I think you're basically saying don't wear these things. And he's like, I mean, like, yeah, of course, like, it's better to not wear them than to wear them. But it's like, so, but if I want the benefit from them, and he's like, oh, I can just make healthcare recommendations. I'm like, okay, you gotta level with me. My work and, you know, like, seeing it through, like, I know it's like I could adjust, but like, seeing screens through glasses is the worst thing in the world. Genuinely the worst. There are a few pains I want to inflict on people worse than, like, looking at a screen through glasses, especially, like, if you're used to contacts. Like, basically I have to downgrade to seeing the world through 2 tiny pieces of glass in my eyes. Like, I dislike glasses so much in school, I literally decided to go blind instead of well, not go blind, like, not be able to see things well, I should say. I guess when we're talking about sight, that's important. And, like, I don't know, I have another, like, at the same time as saying that, like, being super, pushing the same thing belief, you know, like, I've got, like, I don't even know, it could be that the guy who's, like, super pro contact lenses is just like, oh yeah, I just think they're good because I get you know, we make a lot of money when we sell them. Or maybe he just, he only reads half the evidence. Maybe he's the uninformed one. But the fact that I literally have two opticians giving me opposite sides, rather than just like, hey, can we just give me the full picture, both of you, and then like, you can give your recommendations after. You can tell me how to like tailor that to me if maybe I can't deal with that. But wouldn't that be the ideal world? Maybe not. I don't know. I feel like I'm crazy sometimes. I feel like for a lot of people, you know, like there's this fun thing where like if you get to a certain level, you feel like and you know it's totally understandable that like, oh yeah, you give the recommendations, and like there are a lot of recommendations I would give to someone that aren't like scientific. They're just like, I think that's a better thing. But like trying to like spot them, you know, spot your own biases from clouding everything else is like one of the things I'm trying my best to do. Like there are lots of things that I used to look at and go, oh yeah, this is clearly bad for XYZ reason. And really, XYZ reason was just me trying to back out for the reason I inherently don't like it. But like if you can't get past that bias, it's like, how can I trust any of the things that you're saying? If really, you know, it's like the same reason you can't trust a salesperson when they're talking about how great a thing they're trying to sell you is. Because like, you know that regardless of how good or bad the product is, they're going to do a lot better of a job selling it if they tell you the product is good than if it's bad. In the same way, one of the things I've never trusted is like, if you, I've had this issue so many times. I call up my phone plan people and I'm like, hey, I'd like to downgrade. And they're like, oh yeah, we can totally, you know, downgrade you. But actually, what if for less money we gave you more stuff? And I'm obviously like, oh, that's a good idea. And then we're like, okay, yep, let's do this. All you have to do is this. Just say you're going to sign up here. And then, you know, we'll refund you the bill difference within X amount of time. And then they just don't. Like, they can make vague promises about someone else doing something. And, like, they don't care. They're getting commission regardless of how that goes. And it's like, why? Why would you do that? Why? Like, I guess, like, in reality, most people never call. Most people never care. And the organization is incentivizing it with their very aggressive targets. But it's just like, I think about sometimes, all the time actually, about how we have, when you want to like something, that's when it's most important to look at it and be like, I mean like, you can just enjoy something and know that like, yep, I like the thing. But if you want to have like an objective view of like, is a thing good? I'm enjoying Cyberpunk. I think it's terribly optimized for consoles right now. But I've been playing a lot of it because like, I just like the RPG element. I'm basically playing a story that's running at 10 frames per second. And that's enjoyable to me. But rather than going in with like, I need to like this because I spent money on this game and it has to be good as a result or I wasted that money. Rather than going in with a perspective of you need to because it backs up everything else, is be like, okay, of course I have this pre-existing incentive to. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot, I feel like with a critical mindset, you make things better. And maybe you make things worse for yourself in the meantime. But maybe that's the cost of how this all goes. Anyway, I'm running out of food, I'm running out of fireworks, so I'm going to chill at my creeper farm for a little bit, while some creepers drop down. Oh, in this texture pack, glass is just, like, look at this. Glass is such a weird block in the RTX texture pack I'm using. But, yeah, next episode, we'll be going back to vanilla, assuming, actually, probably going back to vanilla, almost definitely going back to vanilla, and we'll also have fireworks, we'll have food, and we'll also have a better sense of where we're going. But for this time, I think we just pulled off an under 30-minute episode. I'm not sure until we edit this down. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.